Hey everyone! So today I want to talk about stalls. It's a majorly hot topic on any of the boards or for any of the bariatric patients. Stalling is when after you get surgery, your body is losing weight and then it freezes up because it is not, for whatever reason, it's resettling, or as most people are concerned, they just feel like they've hit a plateau and they're not going to lose any more weight, so they start freaking out. And so a lot of people will ask questions about stalls on the board. The biggest thing to remember is, because a lot of these people are sending in these messages or questions about within the first 2 months after surgery. There is a common stall at 3 weeks for a lot of people. Some people don't. I've seen one person that said that they never ever stalled. So with stalling, it's just bound to happen. And even if your scale is not showing that your weight's going down, that doesn't mean that your body's not changing. A lot of times it's just readjusting and it's moving things around, or just settling into that new weight. And you could still be eating the same way that you were when you were losing weight, or even less, and which can be detrimental to your weight loss as well. Your body does have a lot of control over the weight, and it's not one of the functions that you can control. So like, your body is able to reduce your metabolic rate so that you are not losing quite as drastically. And yeah, like after you get bariatric surgery and you're only able to eat 400 to 600 calories a day, like that's pretty drastic, and the weight loss is pretty drastic. So in the first 2 months, people need to remember that your body's healing. You just had major surgery. So it's just not going to, the focus should be on your health, not on, and adjusting to your new lifestyle, not on how much weight you're losing. A healthy rate of weight loss is 8 pounds a month. And people are freaking out because they only lost 15 pounds in the first month. And the other thing to consider is everybody's starting at different weights. So like, they'll see other people posting that said they lost 30 pounds or 40 pounds in the first month or two, and they expect that, but that person could be at like 200 or 300 pounds more than the person that is losing less. The lower the weight you start at, the less you're going to lose per month. But in that first 2 months, you need to be calm, you need to relax, your body's healing, focus on the changes that you're making, the changes to your body, and stay off the scale. The scale is, weight can fluctuate so dramatically each day. Like, I stay off the scale. I've known this for a long time because I develop eating disorders when I'm getting on the scale every day, because I'm thinking, oh my God, I gained a pound, I need to reduce my calories. And even though in my brain I know that that's not what loses weight, I will do that anyway, because that's just my eating disorder. It has a huge amount of control over me. So in the first 2 months, focus on healing. Just let your body adjust to the lack of 80% of your stomach, and let your organs adjust, let everything situate a little bit, let that healing process happen. Drink your water, focus on your protein. 2 months. And then after that, there's just a lot going on. So the next thing to talk about is that 3-week stall. So in the 3-week stall, you've just had surgery 3 weeks prior, right? This is where I'm at right now. I may be stalling. I have no idea because I won't get on the scale. I have taken measurements, and since the beginning of pre-op diet, I've lost 4 inches on my waist alone. I have not measured anything else, even though I took measurements for absolutely everything. But the reason is because I know that a stall is going to happen, and I don't want to psychologically get into a bad place by focusing on whether or not I'm losing the weight I want to lose. My goal is 10 a month, because in 1 year that's 120 pounds, which is more than I need to lose. And so, I feel like that's a good healthy goal, and it's only 2 pounds over what the healthy rate is. And also, I don't want my skin to be really super saggy. I want to give it a chance, like here, to just, restructure, get back up there. I like to have a nice neck again. But you know, the skin of my stomach, like I've had pregnancy, so like there's a certain amount of damage that's just never going to go away. But you know, I'm hoping to allow my stomach to shrink back in. But if you lose weight super rapidly, it's not like, it's more likely that gravity is going to take control of that skin and pull down. You may never be able to get back up again. And I will make a video talking about all of the measures that I'm taking to get my weight, or to get my skin to kind of shrink back up, because I've bought some things and I'm doing some things, but we'll talk about that in another video. The 3-week stall, you know, people don't realize that when you go to the hospital, they just absolutely fill you full of fluids. So I was on an IV for 2 hours before surgery, just pumping me full of hydration, because that's what your body needs to heal, right? To be okay. And dehydration is very dangerous. And so the first 3 weeks, you come home, you're a little swollen, right? You have all this hydration in you, and over time your body's losing that. So you are losing, but that healing process is still happening. And so a lot of people will suddenly, you know, stop. They'll be like paying attention and weighing themselves every single day, and then they suddenly realize that they're not losing anymore at 3 weeks. And stalls can last a long time, you know, like you got to give your body time to adjust, and it can come off in bursts. So like you could stall for a couple weeks and then suddenly lose 5 pounds, you know, so in like a day. And so, you know, weight loss is not a steady, you know, it's very up and down. You got to be prepared for the emotional impact that can have. The best way to prepare for it is just to not get on the scale, because you're going to lose. Like, you're going to feel it. I feel it in my clothes. I feel it, you know, in the way I sit in chairs, like how much easier it is to get in my car, you know, and the scale just lies. I mean, I knew this before even going into surgery. It's like one of my biggest pet peeves is the scale and I are not friends. It's not been good to me in the past. It's created a lot of issues for me in the past. So I just don't, because, you know, like just your water weight alone, and glucose and everything else that's stored in your muscles that holds all that water, it can have like such dramatic day-to-day changes. So stop paying attention to that number. Start paying attention to how your clothes fit, you know, and how you feel, rather than allowing the number on the scale to control your mind. I was told a really, really good trick. If you want to kind of keep a guide or an easy visual way to check, you know, the changes that have happened in your body, take a piece of string. Even if you don't have a tape measure or anything, just grab, you know, like, you know, maybe some like kitchen string for cooking. If you grab some kitchen string for cooking, you can, you know, take a measurement of your waist and then cut the string at where your waist is at and pin it up in your bathroom, or some place it's not, you know, like you can look at it, but it's maybe not visually seen. And just, you know, keep a record, like once a week, like take that string and just show like how your body's changing. So line them up next to each other, every string that you cut, so that it's, you know, showing that the longer that when you started, and then how it's getting smaller. The only time that you really, you know, like a stall, you can't break a stall, you just have to weather the stall. You just have to get through the stall. So you know, you just have to keep on with what you're doing. You know, the only time you really need to be concerned is if you are suddenly gaining a lot of weight, you know, and I don't mean like a couple pounds, you know, if you're staying off the scale and maybe just even doing like once a week, but like if you're like dramatically gaining weight, then you really do need to probably look at your macros. And I mean, calorie intake is really important, but I think macros is even more important. So understanding what your protein, how many grams of protein, how many grams of carbohydrates, and how many fats you're taking in, and play with the macro numbers, because everybody's different. So, you know, what works for one person's not going to work for another person. Some bodies need carbs, some bodies don't need carbs. I happen to be one of the ones that does not need carbs. Like, I'm super energetic and happy without carbs, trust me. Like, I feel good if I don't have carbs. You know, obviously no sugar. So if you've fallen on the track, you usually know that you've fallen off the wagon here. So, you know, a lot of people who post about stalling and like not losing weight anymore, they conveniently leave out that, you know, they're not what their macros are, but talk with your nutritionist, start over, go back to pre-op diet, no dairy, no caffeine, no sugar, and low carb, low fat, moderate protein. That's a lot of vegetables, that's a lot of protein. Make sure that you're getting in your 60 to 90 grams of protein per day, and then drink tons of water. You need water for weight loss. And so, focusing on your protein and your hydration are the two biggest things, but also just being mindful that what's working for one person is not necessarily going to work for you. And if you're gaining weight, like, it's obviously not working for you. And I don't mean like 5 pounds. I mean like getting 15 or 20 back. Like, that's a red flag that you're not on the right path. And so you're going to have to change up your macros and figure out the macro combination that works best for your body each day. And when I did macros, when I focused on macros, when I've done weight loss programs in the past, which is really no different than what I'm doing right now. Right now, I'm losing weight. The difference is that I'm going to be able to keep it off. I have the tool now to help me keep off this weight. And so before, I could put in hours and hours of extra energy and dieting and planning my meals, and I would lose weight. 100% I would lose weight. But then, like, I couldn't manage that forever, and my stomach made me even hungrier, and all that weight would come back with, as soon as I started to lose steam, all of that weight would just come back, and then I'd feel, devastated, and like nothing was gonna work, and I couldn't keep it off, and why try, and so I just gave up. But now I have this tool that I'm gonna put all the work in. I'm gonna exercise, I'm gonna get all my macros in, I'm gonna keep my calories at a certain level, and I'm gonna live my life, and I'm gonna lose the weight, but I will, for the first time in my life, be able to really be confident about keeping the weight off. But the work has to be done to do it. And but when I did those diets before, macros were essential to losing weight. Like, I knew that if I hit 100 grams of protein per day, and I kept my carbs at 30 less per day, and I did a certain amount of fat, I think it was 35 to 40 grams of fat a day, I lost weight like nobody's business. So you just have to find that combination, that perfect combination that works for your body, and turn it and keep it going every single day. Focus on that, and change your foods or whatever you need to do to get those macros, and you'll be fine. You'll have figured out the code. You'll have figured out how to get the weight off and how to keep the weight off. So stalls are normal. They're part of this process. It would be the same if you had sleeve gastrectomy or not. Your body is in more control than we give it credit for. So keep that all in mind. Keep it in the back of your head. And I think mentally, for a lot of us, like, we already know that. Like, we already know these things, but it's just so hard sometimes to not freak out, when we've put in all this time and effort and money and stress and expense and time off from work to get this surgery done. It's traumatizing to, have that fear come back that it's not going to work for us, but it is going to work for you. You just need to go back to the basics, and you need to focus on the people who've had a lot of success, the stories of success, to work through those emotional things, because I think that's all wrapped up in the food behaviors that we have, just that absolute devastation and depression, and not pulling ourselves up, out of that dark place, and allowing ourselves to have hope and confidence that our bodies will work for us. So I know that just one caveat to that is that I know that slow losers tend to have medical conditions like PCOS or hypothyroidism. Those kind of things are really going to affect how fast you lose. And so, working with a physician is essential to getting through all that. Being on the right medications. For me, like, I went to a psychiatrist before I went to surgery because I really wanted to address the psychological issues that were going on with me. And she immediately diagnosed me with ADHD, and I'm now on medication for it. And, you know, we have to take all the steps. We have to get, absolutely, like, every level of getting better, not just food, but actually like getting, you know, medicated for our issues and seeing a doctor and taking care of ourselves. You know, I mean, it's all wrapped up into one package. So stay on track, you know, don't focus on the stalls, focus on, you know, your daily successes, the small goals that you can reach each day, and, you know, work against the negative and the destructive mental habits that we've created for ourselves over the years of eating unhealthy, so that we can get past, you know, these stalls and these humps. You know, even stress can affect, you know, how you're losing weight. So go to yoga, do something healthy and good for yourself, and that's going to be that first step towards a healthier lifestyle. All right, I hope you guys are getting something from these videos. I don't know, I don't have any viewers, I'm just making them, you know, and one day I'm gonna look back on all this, and I'm gonna see how far I've come and not lose sight of that, because I don't want to lose sight of the challenges and the goals that I've reached in my life. You know, make your own vlogs. It's essential. So thanks for watching.